Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Soulfire Tarot. My name is Steve. This is for the month of April 2025. Please bear with me. I am in the middle of a cold, so I might sneeze and or cough. So I'll do my best to not do it in the microphone. Anywho, all right. So for today, I'll be drawing from the Psychic Tarot cards to draw the two main pillars, the theme, left and right. Then we'll go into more fine detail, drawing from the top of this Rosicrucian deck. And then I also have the Wild Mystic Spirit Oracle cards, which we'll draw later. And also my favorite part, an Obsidian Sphere to glean some more psychic, intuitive insights into the reading. All right, so to start off here, I'll draw from the top. We have Deception and Envy as the theme on the left. Deception and Envy, Scorpio. So, interesting. Let's keep going. See how this kind of picture plays out. On the right, we have Recognition and Reward. Interesting juxtaposition. Deception and Envy, and Recognition and Reward. Yeah. All right, to go into more fine granularity here. First, we have the Two of Pentacles, starting a journey, going somewhere new, kind of moving on a new idea in terms of things relating to the earth suit. So that's kind of a material reality, our wealth, our abundance, our health, and more grounded physical things. And we see this imagery here in Ouroboros, the snakes with the divine hand, the sun and the moon, the balance of all things, light and dark, phases and time, and this young child kind of being like, and just drawn through this forest, this kind of mysterious forest, by this infinity. So, yeah, I feel like you're starting something new, but let's continue to draw. All right, next to that, we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, I'm seeing this, and again, there's kind of an uncertainty with this card. It's interesting. With Libra, that was definitely a pretty strong theme. So with this card, I kind of see it as kind of like working and applying yourself in ways that you can find fit to the circumstance and the environment here. So, but seeing this in reverse, perhaps something isn't necessarily fitting, or perhaps this month or the energies in this time, might be bringing up or bringing things through your experience around kind of finding your place, finding how you can kind of apply yourself and where you're going with that. And again, we see this underneath the Deception and Envy card. Interesting. All right, next we have the Five of Wands in reverse. Now, just so you understand, the reverse cards aren't always negative in the totality of what they mean in a reading. It's just another way to get kind of signs. So interestingly, oftentimes through a reverse card reading, I can kind of see how it's actually suggesting this, rather than it's bad, kind of thing. That's like, I haven't really got that so far with the readings I've been doing for people and here. But anyways, to go with the Five of Wands. So in the upright, we see this woman kind of motherly looking, grappling with all these small people, kind of gremlinly looking on her path. On one side there's clouds, and the other side there's, white cloud and dark cloud. And this hand of divinity at top, and she's kind of grappling with juggling all these different things. These people that are coming at her, these needs. So seeing this in the reverse position, I'm seeing that. Yeah, there's almost like a theme, juggling with those needs. In the reverse, this might be suggesting something about finding your own needs and finding how things fit. It's interesting in terms of whatever this kind of new initiative is for you. All right, Scorpio. Going now into the middle, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So this is somebody who is very much kind of calculated and grounded in kind of getting what they want. They're successful, and they've been able to achieve a kind of fine through refinement. So you see the little goat. This is somebody who's adept at getting places at leaps and bounds. It's kind of a Capricorn-esque card. I'm a Capricorn, so I can definitely relate. I've got a lot of Capricorn in my chart. But yeah, you can see that this is somebody who is definitely kind of like seated comfortably and coolly and calmly, to get where they're at. So I'm seeing that in the middle here so far. I think I'm going to draw 7 total, 3 on each side of these 2 pillar themes. So yeah, seeing that in the middle, I feel like that's kind of like the ground pillar signifier thus far. We'll get some more clarity on that later, and I do feel like, stick with me, that more of a picture is going to develop here. All right, so we have the universe in reverse. Yeah, so seeing this, I feel like this is kind of reminding us that like the world is our oyster, that it is in our hands to a certain extent, although a lot of things are outside of our control. So I feel like what this card might be suggesting in the reverse position, especially in juxtaposition with deception and envy and recognition and reward, is that sometimes, things aren't necessarily going to work out for us exactly how we expected. And there's a lot of things we can't control. Sometimes when we get hung up on certain things and why they're not the way they could be, it's there's kind of that old, like, what is it? The Christian parable of like, give me the help me know the difference between the things I can change and the things I can't, right? It's kind of a wise old parable. Obviously, there are a lot of things we can, influence in our own lives and collectively. But in other ways, sometimes it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze, so to speak, to paraphrase from Minopon Tarot. I love his channel. He's largely who inspired me to start this. So thank you, Minopon. And welcome to any guests who might be familiar with him. Anyways, let's continue here. Yeah, we have the Sun card underneath, recognition and reward. So I feel like there is a positive overall current, beneficent, successful energy through this time. You have the Sun, so that's saying that outcome, especially with regards to recognition and reward, possibly that you might be needing, seeking, or have sought to attain. We see kind of a student here, in this hall getting recognized, and awarded for something. Yeah, so I'm seeing that, despite some of these kind of like hurdles and the circumstance and some of the confusion, some of the deception, the things that I might be grappling with, there's some of the things that might be getting clear. And again, I'm seeing this kind of central balance. The fulcrum of this reading thus far is the Queen of Pentacles. Is somebody is cool, calm, and calculated to be able to achieve what they can, to make great strides. Sometimes getting the mental game right, and doing the internal kind of like thinking and like getting things clear internally can make such a difference when it comes to our actual results and output. Sometimes preparation is the best investment. Let's see. All right. Now we'll go to the 7th card here. On the right, we have the moon. Yeah, so that's so interesting. The sun and the moon juxtapose. We're in such interesting times. So coming right after the sun is the moon. So with the moon, we have these 2 pillars, one gold, one silver, representing, solar and lunar, masculine, feminine, positive, negative, the whole duality doodad. And these creatures down here, a little crab, lobster, a coyote, and a dog, and they're kind of howling at the moon. They're seeing that light reflected. So this card oftentimes suggests like, inner dreams, inner deep subconscious intuition, things below the surface that are kind of influencing our life. So what I'm seeing kind of with the sun here, with the universe in reverse, and then underneath the recognition reward card, the moon, I'm seeing that there's kind of like a bigger, the landscape of life is kind of moving, in mysterious ways beyond our total comprehension and understanding. But ultimately, after the sun card, especially coming from kind of that energy that I was picking up on, like kind of accepting what we can't control, it's there's still kind of, the world works in mysterious ways, and no matter what, though, there's still like a subtle urge, a subtle influence. This card could also be suggesting to connect with our inner world more, so to become more conscious in the dream realm, or perhaps like the imaginable realms where we could tap into deep, what do you call it? It's the tip of my tongue. Archetypal realities, right? In the realm of the ideal, of the spiritual. All right, very interesting. For some added clarity here, above the Queen of Pentacles, that central fulcrum card, and in between the recognition reward card, I'm going to draw another Psychic Tarot card. And here we have Memories of Love. Interesting. So I feel like what this is now bringing up for some of you here, Scorpios, is perhaps with this deception and envy and this kind of grappling or becoming free of something that's been holding you down and that you're grappling with, some kind of burden, and trying to find like how you can appropriately apply yourself and actually be valued to contribute to, some place of productivity, something that's cultivating something that involves a group of people working on something or a place of work for yourself or otherwise. Memories of love. And I feel like, with the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like what this is highlighting, this memories of love card, it's very sentimental. See this imagery of these little tea candles, floating on water, how delicate, graceful, and cherishing these memories, floating on water, these ripples that are just flowing with life, like the things of the past, But what I'm seeing with this is kind of connecting with, like the love of that we have, that we share in life. And, maybe going back to childhood, like what motivates you, can help in support, this kind of grounded capability of you, Scorpio, towards recognition, reward, and getting past deception and envy. And this card too, it's interesting that this one came after deception and envy. This is the Two of Pentacles, which is kind of this teetering unknown. So far for April, that's definitely a theme. There's a lot of things shifting above and below the surface. And the landscape is kind of changing, and people are having to kind of reorient. And it's kind of like moving people and urging people towards like kind of like making a break towards what they feel like is more aligned with like their true calling, of like, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is what I can bring to life and value, this is what I've dreamed for, kind of thing. And I can relate with that. That's why I'm doing this, it's like I had to do something different. So, alrighty, next I'll draw underneath these cards. I'll go from right to left backwards now. So underneath the moon, we have the Chariot. So yeah, just like I was saying, things are moving. Things are in motion. This month of April, things are moving. Things are going forward, especially in our subconscious. Those of you who are aware or are able to pay attention and remember your dreams, you might notice some really interesting things going on there. So, perhaps some of you, this is a little cue to, get your dream journals out and, take note. It could be really interesting and give you some interesting insights to look into how things are changing over time here. If you've never done that before, I've done that in the past where I was like, just even, I wasn't super consistent with it, but just doing it over like a year or two of, like a handful of times a year, it was like, whoa, because like the more detailed and expressive and like getting whatever it is that's coming through you onto the paper from that dream. When you first wake up and you're just like re-rolling the tape before it just evaporates out of your memory, you can grasp some of that and then write it down. And then over time, it's like, whoa, it's like, I felt like I was like seeing like hypergeometry, intersubjectively in my life, like the bigger picture, how life was evolving through me and vice versa, So very cool. Interesting. All right. Next, underneath the sun, we have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. So I feel like for some of you, so in the upper right card, I see this one as kind of like fulfillment and completion, somebody who's ready to kind of like pass on what they have. They've, lived their life and worked quite craftily on kind of achieving and attaining, the ability to provide and to be able to, kind of like house space for others and their lives. We see this romantic couple in the back as this old grandpa's trimming his flowers. I'm seeing in this reverse though, and it's interesting underneath the sun, also underneath recognition and reward. And I feel like what I was getting from this was like, you're not done yet. There's something in you where it's like, even if you attain certain recognition and reward, that's just like a notch on the belt, so to speak. There's more to where you want to go and what's moving in your life. And you have the blessing of the sun. So that is good. All right, underneath the universe here, you have an upright card, which is the High Priestess. Yeah, so like I was saying before, understanding and accepting the things we can't control and recognizing where sometimes, I mean, from my own personal experience, trying to control situations or circumstances in my life when it's like ultimately the only thing I can really control is myself. Like, yeah, I can communicate with people. I can try to persuade people, help them see my point of view to get them kind of like aligned with me, let's say towards like a certain goal or something. But ultimately, like I feel like for me, the more I kind of accepted that, it's just like the world is, it's like how invested do I want to get into it? Like how much is healthy for me for like what is, and I know this sounds really selfish, right? But like life is a balance of that, of like selflessness and selfishness. Sometimes in order to move forward, like for me, for example, I used to practice and observe very selfless, observations in the spiritual domain. Like I was very much a person of service, and it was beautiful. Tons of blessings came through that. It was just like the universe, God, whatever. It was just like, all right, we got you. You are a conduit, to serve all of life for the greatest good. And it was just like synchronicity, prosperity, benevolence, just like whatever I needed, like there it was, it was just like perfect because I was like showing up and being of service and just like kind of surrendering towards like, yes, like I'm here for what is needed in the world kind of thing, just moment to moment, like very present, walking down the street and just like making eye contact with somebody and just like radiating bliss, can just radically impact somebody's trajectory. So experiences like that. But like I was saying, like it's a balance, right? Like for me, it got to a point where me being selfless was actually kind of keeping me down. And it was like, it was taking more from me than I could give. And that was a big life lesson, probably like six years ago, where I had to kind of reel it in and be like, oh yeah, like if I'm getting older, I want to, have, just with maturity, I had to kind of be like, yeah, I need to kind of like keep more for myself. And that's okay. It's like, that's life. But anyways, the High Priestess underneath the universe here is suggesting, again, finding an inner balance, bringing things into balance and harmony, inner harmony, peace, and, like clarity. This encourages us to connect with our intuition. So again, this is kind of underneath the memories of love. It's also adjacent partly diagonally with the Queen of Pentacles. We also see it diagonally with the Sun, and underneath the universe reversed. So I feel like when it comes to whatever this universe reversed for you is meaning, Scorpio, I feel like the High Priestess is kind of giving you a hint or a nudge to what the antidote or the wisdom to kind of find a balance with whatever this theme is kind of speaking to you for. So, it could be journaling, it could be meditation, whatever you can do, to find that balance, to get in tune with yourself inside and out the world. So, all right. Underneath the Queen of Pentacles. Oh, it's been a rough cold. We have the Two of Wands. So yeah, underneath the Queen of Pentacles, we have the Two of Wands here. This is somebody who is kind of standing up for their values and taking a stand in the world. This is somebody who is confident in their ability and capacity to kind of like, to stand up and take a stand for something, get yourself out there. This is somebody who's also on top of the mountain. So we see here with the Queen of Pentacles, somebody, this is a Capricornian card in the feminine, with these mountains in the background, somebody who's calm, cool, collected, and grounded and kind of secure in the finesse, and they've attained it through kind of calculated finesse. Whereas this is somebody who is like, yeah, I can do that. I can work on that. I can make things happen. So we have the two. We see the cross of the wands, right? The combining of forces. So this card also suggests like constructivity in some ways. All right. So underneath the Five of Wands, that kind of grappling or becoming ungrappled and unburned, we have the Fool. So yeah, I feel like this is suggesting like beginner mind or, a kind of liberation. This might be something where you're kind of getting freed up and you're going to be, perhaps in this month, there might be an energy or a theme of kind of like beginning fresh, a kind of new lease on life. Or it could be suggesting to kind of embrace that, like there's a lot to learn, maybe for some of you, if this is these themes of like finding your place, not sure where things are going, this card could, again, kind of with the High Priestess and the universe in reverse, this kind of uncertainty of like finding your place in the world and with life, with these obstacles and, how you emotionally might feel about things, maybe you've been disillusioned, or maybe you've been feeling, envious about certain people and what they have, and comparing yourself, and like criticizing yourself and kind of keeping yourself back. This card is saying like you have a new beginning if you choose it, or if that's already happening for you. It's always a possibility. All right, underneath the Six of Pentacles, we have, so I'm seeing for you, I feel like for some of you, you kind of maybe, I want to say like a falling out. So this card in the upright is kind of like, like a kind of like allegiance that people are bound together under this banner. Like, oh, we work towards this, or we stand for this, right? Like certain ideologies and ideas and kind of like schools of thinking. I'm seeing this in reverse here. I feel like for some of you, you might have kind of, some of your ideas of what's influencing you and has grabbed your interest might have changed, or is in a process, perhaps changing through this month, and perhaps a longer time arc as well. So seeing this underneath the Six of Pentacles, where it's kind of about like finding your place, that kind of makes sense that your mind is changing as well. So, and this newness, the Fool, and then also the Two of Pentacles. Those kind of like new beginning cards. All right, lastly, underneath that Two of Pentacles, we have the Knight of Swords. Lots of swords and lots of earth and wands so far. Not too much water here, except with the High Arcana cards. So the Knight of Swords, this is somebody who is, going forward confidently towards this, and kind of excitedly, towards this, they're sharp. They're able to kind of like make a point, be intellectually sound and kind of apply themselves mentally. But seeing this in reverse with this new beginnings, and then again touching on the Fool, I feel like it's just saying like, hold your horses. Maybe this is a time where if you're finding yourself in a new circumstance, maybe new work, new living situation, maybe hold your horses on certain assumptions and certain beliefs here, because you might be able to learn a lot and kind of have a new lease on life to get free of certain things with this new ticket. And again, understanding that the Sun is there with you, facilitating the energy of the benevolence through this reading. And the High Priestess, taking the time to kind of process and understand the cosmos through yourself. And ultimately things are moving, life changes. That's life. Alrighty. Lastly, for cards, I will draw from the Wild Mystic Oracle cards. Or Scorpio. All the way at the bottom. We have the Deal card. So let's make a deal. I did draw it in the reverse, though, so I could touch on that a little bit. Here we have this kind of Aryan-looking energy. Excuse me, this is Capricornian. So the deal, the art of the deal, so to speak. You know who said that. But when it comes to deal making, right, it's about like how do we come to an agreement in some kind of exchange, right? Like I have some of this, I want some of this. What if we do this? And if we maintain this partnership in business in some kind of deal, you can set the conditions, you can create contracts, to kind of negotiate how the deal works, right? And then win-win, party, right? Then you can renegotiate contracts if things aren't always working. So I feel like what this is saying, putting this between the deception, envy, and memories of love, is kind of sorting out things that might not be serving you in the emotional realm right now, and like how you deal with that, and how it again connects to what I feel like this memories of love is connecting to your inner child, and like what is a place like the deep well of nourishment that is so sacred and meaningful to you, Scorpio, and how this connects to like your sense of finesse and your capabilities, and how you're based in your world. Interesting. All right, that's very good. Next, I'll gaze into the obsidian orb. It has unique psychic properties. And if you don't believe me, just sit by some firelight or in a dark room, maybe with some blue light, and just gaze into this, or hold your hand. You can project energy through it. Experiential. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed any of this woo-woo stuff, but then you just need to unlock the mind with curiosity, and then sure enough, it's like, oh, there's something to it. But don't take my word for it. Oof. Oh, for every laugh, a cough. No laugh for you. Anyways. Alrighty, let's see what I can make gleam here. Great Spirit, give me clarity and insight. Yeah, so this I'm seeing again. I see this kind of like imagery of this laser, kind of a blue light. It has to do with transmission. So this has to do, I feel like there's an energy here underneath all of this, has to do with expression and communication and how you transmit that into your world and how it connects. And I feel like this month for you is kind of a reevaluation period overall. I feel like there's certain relationships, certain arrangements in your life that might be coming into focus, that might be changing. Certain people you might have felt a certain way about might be changing for better or worse. And there's kind of a renegotiation period here. And it ultimately, a big part of it, I think, for many of you would come down to yourself and what you agree to and how it's ultimately serving your expression towards the betterment or the totality of life, right? So that's to say, like, the greatest good of all. So yeah, think of a flame and how flame light radiates and the flame ascends, right? It has to do with density. So this idea of becoming more light, less dense, less heavy, less compact, more able to flow and be expansive in the world, more light, joyous, and free. Let's see what else there is. Yeah, there's also something about completion. There's some planetary cycle, I think, for some of you. Having to do with Jupiter. It's going to be transiting in the next month here or close by at the end of April. That has to do with this recognition and reward card. It also touches on the Two of Wands card of like standing up and having the capability to kind of put yourself out there and getting recognized and rewarded for it. I feel like ultimately, and I feel like this is where the sun is coming, knowing that Jupiter is a beneficent planet of expansion, prosperity, abundance, that kind of stuff. And philosophy. Yeah, I'm seeing that for you. So let me connect back to the blue laser vision. Yeah, so I'm also seeing this prism, and it has to do with distortions. So the idea of distortion through like a prism, through a medium, is like, how does that medium affect the purity of the beam of light, right? That transmission of energy and information. So the idea of distortions are like things that are like distorting the transmission of that pure energy. So something to reflect on again. But anyways, hope this is valuable for you, Scorpio. Once again, my name is Steve. Thanks for bearing with me with this cold. I feel like I've been doing pretty well through it. And yeah, this is Soul Fire Tarot. There's actually another channel that's Soul, S-O-U-L, which is cool. Should have looked at that before I created this channel name, but nevertheless, here I am, Soul Fire Tarot. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. And if you want to leave a comment down there, please do. I appreciate anything you have to say. And if you want to follow for more, please subscribe. Cool. Peace.